Okay. So the last stream died on me. I don't know why, but we're trying it again. Hopefully this one holds up a little bit better. Well, Marshall, I'm kind of worried both those guys won't fit because it seems like those guys are more of a power running scheme. It seems to me, based off what I've read, that both those guys would fit a little better in a power run scheme, and that's what we're trying to get away from. So I don't know if either of those guys would be a great fit. But if we were to spend a second round pick on a center, Landon Dickerson does make some sense. I just don't know how well he would fit Shane Waldron's offense. But before I seriously get into stuff, I'm going to give another minute or two for people to come in. Got 5 people so far. All right, we got 7 people in here. I'm going to try to get to 10, and then I'm going to go ahead and get underway here. And we'll pick up a lot more as we go along, obviously. All right, 10 people in the stream. I'm going to go ahead and get underway. So welcome to another edition of Evaluating the Future discussion. I posted a video earlier today about centers, and a couple hundred views later, I think it's time to talk about it in stream with the viewers. So hopefully you guys can hear me well. Hopefully you guys can see me well. And we're just going to go ahead and get underway here. So the Seahawks have a serious need at center this offseason. As of right now, they have a serious need at center. So this is a position that we very clearly need to fill, and there are multiple ways to fill it. Now, I've already talked about Ethan Posick in a previous video, so I'm not really going to discuss Posick in this video very much because I've already said everything I need to say about Posick. We know exactly what he is. For my money, I am ambivalent on whether or not we keep Posick. I think it's okay to keep him. I think it's okay to move on from him. I do not feel very strongly about that at all. I feel like if you could get Posick, it would probably be something like 2 years, $6.5 million, which is a great way to save money so you can fill other positions. So re-signing Posick would be fine, but it's not exciting. Other than that, the only other center on this roster is Kyle Fuller, and he's about to be a free agent as well. My opinion of Kyle Fuller is that we don't know, and there's no reason to believe he can be the guy. So I don't think Fuller is the pick. And we don't really have any other centers on this roster, so it's kind of a no-go to say that we can fill that gap from within the roster. So if we did, the only thing that we could do in-house is move Damian Lewis to right guard, from right guard to center. Move Damian Lewis to center from right guard. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this possibility because if we do that, that just means we're making another problem on the offensive line at right guard. But I do want to say that would not be bad. Moving Posick to, I'm sorry, not Posick, moving Lewis to center is not bad. There's nothing wrong with that theory. There's nothing wrong with exploring that possibility. There is that's a completely reasonable option for this team. Now, if you do that, you have a problem at right guard, but you could put Jamarco Jones there and see what happens. Jamarco Jones has played decent guard in his career in the past. I can think of a few games in 2019 where I thought he held up pretty well as a guard. So that's an option. Or you could go make right guard one of your priorities in the draft or free agency. So that's fine too. All right, Kyle, welcome. Green Earth, welcome. All right, so that's about it for in-house stuff. Your only option is to move Damian Lewis to center. And if you do that, you then have to fill the right guard spot. But I will say, perfectly reasonable to think you could do that. I don't know if I want to do that, but it's reasonable to think you can do that. Now, let's talk free agency, because in all likelihood, I think this is a position that the Seahawks are very likely to lean on free agency for. It is very likely that the Seahawks will turn to a free agent to fill the need at center, because there's nothing in-house right now. And Posick, I mean, do you really want to re-sign Posick after he's had one half of a good season in 4 years? So in my video today, I went over 3 viable free agent options that stand out to me. And there are others that would probably be fine too, but these are the 3 that do it for me off the top of my head at first glance. So the 3 options basically fill one of 3 needs. 1, if you want to get the right now, let's go superstar, you can go get Corey Linsley. Maybe the best center in the game right now, still reasonably aged, 3 years, 30 million, maybe 31 million is the rough contract estimate from Spotrac. And I think he's probably going to get that. I think Corey Linsley will probably get pretty close to 10 million a year, and he's worth that. He was probably the best center in the league last year. He did miss some games. He missed some snaps. His age combined with his mild injury history is the reason why he's not far more expensive than he actually is. But Corey Linsley is kind of the big, expensive, shiny toy that you can bring in and say, hey, Wilson, see, we do care about you. We do care about you a lot. And I think that Corey Linsley would be a very good option to bring in at center. Number 2 is the middle ground. The middle ground between a center, somebody that is super expensive, but somebody who is not going to completely set you back to the point where you have to sacrifice everything else in the offseason. So that would be David Andrews of the, I think, Patriots. He's a very good center. He had a very nice PFF grade last year. He's respected. He's been in the league for a while. Good player. He's been with the Patriots since 2015. So he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, I guess. And he's a good center who still has a lot of mileage left. And Spotrac estimates he's going to get about 3 years and $21 million. 3 years, $21 million. That is basically $7 million a year. So David Andrews is the guy you can get if you want to be good, but you don't feel the need to be the best, and you want to save a little bit of money. You save, $10 million over the next 3 years. 1 second. Yeah, $3 million over the next 10 years if you go with Andrews over Linsley. And the third and final option that really stands out to me, hey, Jack, third and final option that stands out to me at center would be Alex Mack, the 37-year-old, or about to be, I think, 37 years old center from Atlanta. Had a great career. He's made Pro Bowls. He's made all-pro teams. He was good last year for the Falcons, but he's old. And decent chance he retires this offseason, honestly. But he just got finished making a ton of money on a team that wasn't very good for most of his stay there. They did make 1 Super Bowl, I guess, but not a very good team. Alex Mack is somebody you would get for 1 year and just be like, hey, let's kick this can down the road and have one more season. Let's one last ride to try to go get a ring or try to play in the playoffs again at least. So that's the option if you don't want to spend a bunch of money, you don't want to make a long-term commitment, but you want somebody who's clearly good. And that's Alex Mack. So I think you could get Alex Mack for like 1 year, $4 million, maybe a little bit more. It's hard to know with these guys, but Mack's old. He's not going to want a ton of money. He just got done making $45 million in Atlanta. So I think you could get Alex Mack for something like $4 to $5 million and just say, hey, one last ride, baby. So those are the three things that stand out to me. Those are your super expensive, middle ground, and short-term patch options. If you want to be cheap, if you want to get somebody who's just cheap with a little bit of upside, just bring back Bostic, honestly. There are other free agent centers for sure, and it's not impossible we could get them. Ted Karras from the Dolphins, but he's going to be extremely expensive. So I think that's maybe a little out of our price range, even in the best case scenario. Same with Austin Reiter. I think he's going to be too expensive. Matt Skura, I don't know. I don't know if he's good enough to justify all the money he's going to be asking for. There are guys like Joe Looney, but they're roughly, just Jags, basically. Ben Garland, just a Jag. If you're going to sign one of those guys, again, just keep Posick. What's the damn difference? So, how do you guys feel about the array of center selections in free agency? I'll just be addressing comments for a little bit here. Let me know what you guys want to do. Let me know what you guys think about the various options. D Mr. 3 brings up Nick Martin, which is somebody who I think was recently released from Houston. He was on a very big contract, and the Houston Texans have released him, and he's a good option. I don't know a ton about him specifically. Obviously, he was not available when I made my center video because that was a couple of weeks ago. But in 2020, he actually had a PFF grade of 56, which is not very good. It was much better in 2019, but I don't know if he's going to be worth the kind of money he's probably going to be fishing for. So, Nick Martin might be somebody who gets a big deal because he has the reputation of being very good, despite arguably not being that good. So that's what I got. Andrews or Lindsley are the only two good options. Those are the two guys who are legitimately solid centers for sure. Alex Mack, you're taking a gamble because he might be washed up in 2021. He might run out of gas. He might get hurt because he's old. And Posick, I think Posick has shown some stuff, but I'm not crazy about it. Yeah, Michael, I'm going to talk about the draft soon, but I want to spend a few minutes on the free agency options. So let's just start from the top. Everybody in the chat, Corey Linsley, 3 years, $30 million, yay or nay? Would you do 3 years, $30 million for Corey Linsley, knowing that spending that much money on a center will preclude your ability to sign a really good guard or maybe a really good corner or whatever else it is you want? All right, it seems like people in the chat are pretty on board with that so far. People are on board with Linsley. For my part, I like Linsley a lot, and I think bringing him in would be a very reasonable move. And if we did that, I would be excited for it. It's probably not my favorite thing we can do this offseason, but it's up there. So, yeah, Corey Linsley is okay. We got a couple people saying no, mostly because of his injury history, and that is a thing. You could go get a guy like Ted Karras, but like I said, you're going to pay way more money for a Ted Karras in all likelihood, I think. Austin Reiter, same thing. Okay. Let's say you don't get Linsley. David Andrews, 3 years, $21 million. Would you do it? $3 years, $21 million for David Andrews, with all the ramifications that come with giving a player that much money. And that's not an incredibly high price to pay for a good center, a reasonably aged, reasonably priced, reasonably good center. So David Andrews would be next on the list. Seems like a lot of people are down with David Andrews. Yeah, that is a good point, David. Ultimately, I hope the decision of who we keep at center is left up to Waldron, because this should be his offense. Robert, he's a Patriot. He's been a Patriot for the last 6 years.
eWeek 2K brought up an interesting option, and this is something that I discussed a little bit in my guard video. Austin Blythe, because he can play center as well. A lot of guards can also play center. So Austin Blythe is a reasonable option if you want to get somebody who's cheap and is just going to hold the fort down for a little bit. Like, he doesn't have upside, but whatever. He's decent. And yeah, it's a good way to save money while still getting somebody that would be at least a little exciting, although not overly exciting. So, okay, Austin Blythe. Let's say if we can't get Lindsley and we can't get Andrews, or we just decide not to get one of those two guys, you can get instead Austin Blythe. Let's just address the Austin Blythe thing real quick. And you can get him for like 2 years, $6 million, basically Posick money. Would you do that? Or would you rather re-sign Posick for about the same money? Well, Rodrigo, you're going to get somebody who's good. Okay? You're going to get somebody who's good. If you don't spend big money at center, then you're probably going to spend big money on left guard. Maybe you spend big money on a tight end. Maybe you spend big money on a wide receiver. You can't spend big money at every position, but you got to spend money at a position or two, and that's how you bring Wilson in. You don't do it by spending massive dollars at every position, because you can't do that. All right, seems like the opinions of Blythe are pretty split, which makes sense. He's not the greatest player in the world, but there's some reason to believe that he would fit well with what we're doing. And the final thing is, and probably the most controversial option I present here, would be Alex Mack. I said, Alex Mack, call him up, say 1 year, $4 million, and see what he thinks. Would you be okay with the Seahawks signing Alex Mack 1 year, $4 million, and basically just kick the can down the road, get a quality veteran center in for 1 year, and then figure out what you do for center in 2022 when it's time to figure that out? So, yeah. Okay, so it seems like a lot of people are not very excited about Alex Mack, which makes a lot of sense. I personally think the Alex Mack thing would be good. I personally think the Alex Mack thing would work well. It's cheap. It doesn't have any kind of long-term investment. I think he has one good year left in him, and I think you could possibly spend the money you save, the money that you save, into another position. And at that point, that's all that really stands out to me. So before we move on, in the comments, are there any other free agents that stand out to you at center? Like I said, Austin Reiter is very good, but he's going to be extremely expensive. Ted Karras is very good, but he's going to be extremely expensive. Matt Skura has a big name, but I don't know how good he is, and he's also going to be expensive. The Pouncey brothers retired, so they're off the board. There are some mediocre veterans you could pick up to stopgap for 1 year, but if you're going to do that, why not just get Alex Mack? You could re-sign Kyle Fuller. You could go get Joey Hunt again. That's about it, as near as I can tell. If any of you guys like any of that stuff, let me know. Yeah, that's a good point, David. Matt Skura, he's going to cost Lindsley money, and he's nowhere near as good as Lindsley, I don't think. All right. So it seems like I covered everything pretty well. Weston Richburg from the Niners might cut him.
is he really better than like Posick? I don't know. I know he was good a couple years ago. At this point, is he better than Posick? Is he better than Austin Blythe? I don't know. Because the thing with Austin Blythe that's appealing is that he has experience with our new offensive coordinator, which I think is exciting. Yeah, week 2K kind of has kind of is kind of speaking my language. Like you spend big on either left guard or center, and then you find a cheaper option at whatever you didn't spend big at. All right, so that does it for free agency, I think. So let's spend a little bit of time on center. And as I said in my video earlier today, I'm sorry, spend some time on center in the draft. Let me finish that sentence. And unfortunately, as I was looking through the centers the Seahawks could draft in 2021's draft, it seemed to me that a lot of the candidates that make sense for our draft position, I don't know if they would fit Waldron's scheme, because a lot of them, when I was trying to scout them out a little bit, a lot of things that were said about them included, best at guard in the NFL. Like maybe they played center in the college, but they project to be a guard in the NFL, which I don't like. Or they have their best fit in like a power run scheme, which I also don't like because we're trying to move away from that. So I actually don't think this draft is great at center. I don't. A lot of people were bringing up Creed Humphrey, and that's an interesting one as long as you are okay with spending your second round pick on a center. He, I think, doesn't really fit the zone scheme that well, but players can change, players can develop. But I'm just a little concerned about assuming that a guy can be drafted and immediately switch to a different style of offense. There's another guy who caught my eye, Josh Myers from Ohio State. He projects it, according to what I've seen so far, he projects to fit in a rushing offense, inside zone heavy rushing offense, which is kind of, again, what we're trying to move away from. So I'm a little concerned about that. And then you also have Landon Dickerson, who doesn't project, according to my scouts, as being effective in a zone scheme. So those are kind of the big guns in terms of a center. So Wyatt Davis, I expect to go too high for us to get. And he's another guy who played center in who I don't know if he plays center in the NFL. Chrissy, I had Lindsley, David Andrews, Alex Mack, and I threw in Austin Blythe, although Austin Blythe is kind of more of a guard to me, but it sounds like he can play center well too, so that's totally fine. So anyway, yeah, as I was looking at these center candidates, I had problems with pretty much all of them. I really liked Biadaz last year, Kyle. I was shocked he fell as far as he did. If I was to, pick a top level guard prospect to draft, it would probably be Creed Humphrey, maybe Landon Dickerson, but I just have questions about both those guys fitting into the Shane Waldron scheme. Robert Hainsey, right tackle from Notre Dame. I think I remember that guy. I think I know who you're talking about. And by the way, one other thing with David Andrews that I want to put out there, he might go for cheaper because all the attention is being taken by the premium guards like Lindsley and Ryder and the guy the Texans just cut, Nick Martin, etc. So maybe you get him cheaper. Maybe he gets like 3 years, 15 million, or 2 years, 12 million, or something like that, I'm not seeing Tyler Lindenbaum's name on the prospect list that I'm using, Michael. All right, so the only guy in the draft that caught my eye, and this would be somebody we would take in like the 6th round, so it's not really a plug-and-play starter, would be Drew Dahlman from Stanford. He's the one guy who sounds to me like he fits well in a zone blocking scheme and can play center in the NFL. But this would be somebody we draft to be a backup, somebody we draft to develop, not somebody we draft to start week 1. So that's not ideal. Although we do probably have a needed backup center, so I do want to circle Drew Dahlman's name and possibly take him in the 6th or 7th round. But he cannot be the solution for the immediate Seahawks need. So that's what I see in this draft. I don't love the center prospects in this draft personally. There are good ones. Don't get me wrong. There are good center prospects in this draft. And if we draft a center in this draft, we will, with our 2nd round pick, we will probably get a very talented center. Hey, Ryan. But I'm not sure I feel confident in them immediately fitting into this offense. Ryan Snaggs, it's cool, okay? Hi. Chill out, dude. But anyway, that's really all I got. Cut Dunlap, restructure Wilson and Lockett, resign Puna, Mayo, and some minor FAs, sign Jamal Williams, Sheriff, Alex Mack, and Troy Hill, draft Rondell Moore with pick. That's not bad, Chrissy. That's pretty close to what I'm thinking. Yeah, you week 2K, the Trey Smith blood disorder thing, that makes me sad because I really like Trey Smith as a prospect. So that makes me sad. But, you know, there's some risk baked into that. But there are other guys in this draft who I do like at guard, like Aaron Banks, Ben Cleveland, David Moore. Even Tommy Kramer from Notre Dame is kind of interesting to me. But, yeah, it's a little harder. It's a little harder to find a center because not only do we need to find a scheme match, we also need to find somebody who can play center in the NFL because some of these centers in the college can't transition and they just move to guard. Seems like Wisconsin's churning out quality center prospects these days. So I'm just going to go through some comments here about what draft options at center. Deontay Brown from Bama will likely be available in the 4th round for guard. Yeah. It seems like as I look at this, as I really think about this, our best bet is to address center in free agency and then left guard in the draft. Ben Cleveland from UGA. Yeah, that's a good guy too. But again, I expect him to play guard in the NFL. I like to watch NFL. I'm not going to get too far into detail on that with you, but he's not. He's just not. He's old. He's already showing signs of breaking down. That's just the way it is. Quinnen Miriez. I don't know too much about him, but Wisconsin seems to churn him out. I would be down with that, Andrew. I would be okay with that. I know a lot of people were not happy about the idea of bringing in Alex Mack, and I will grant you it's a risk, but I feel like it's the kind of risk you need to take when you do have limited money to spend. We have to take a risk somewhere. And I'm already and if you can create enough money for it, I would much rather do the David Andrews thing. Don't get me wrong, but if you can, Alex Mack is not a bad consolation prize. So yeah, okay, let's see here. Who do you think will be the Seahawks backup tackle next year? Jamarco Jones, I guess. Let's see here. I'd sign Dunbar or Sherman for the corner hole. Yeah, we'll talk about corner soon, Kyle. I'm not doing that tonight, but we will be talking about that soon. And I'll explain what I would like to do. But yeah, it's a very interesting kind of dance that we are doing at the offensive line interior this offseason, because we have a need at left guard, we have a need at center, and we have to decide how we're going to divvy it up. Robert, I think he's going to be like a 4th round pick. Yeah, Cleveland might go in the 3rd round, 4th round ish, something like that. Yeah. So anyway, like I was saying, you got to fill your hole at left guard, you have to fill your hole at center, and then you have limited resources to do that with. So you have to kind of, in my estimation, splurge on one and then go a little cheaper on the other. Or you could move Damian Lewis to center, but then you're creating a hole at right guard unless you really like Jamarco Jones or Philip Haynes. So yeah. So this stream still has, I could go another 25 minutes if you guys want to discuss more center stuff. We may not go that long since Andrew, I did see that, but I don't know. He seems to me like he's going to be pretty expensive and not be particularly great. Like his PFF grade last year was not good, and Houston's O-line the last couple of years has not been good. So I don't know if I like that. He's probably somebody you overpay for, and then you don't get much out of him. Guys, kind of off topic, but not really. The rumor is that we are going to cut Carlos Dunlap and then re-sign him on a deal that doesn't have a massive cap hold in 2021. So that right there can free up, at least $5 million, maybe more. Okay, David M. Bears get Wilson, Seahawks get Khalil Mack, Jalen Johnson, 2 first rounders. Thing is, Mack makes a shit ton of money already, so he's an asset, but he's not the asset that his play necessarily indicates. That's not bad, David. That's not bad, I guess. I don't know how good Jalen Johnson is, though. Put all of our offseason efforts on fixing the all, cut Dunlap and Reed and re-sign a better deal. Yeah, most of my offseason efforts are focused on the offense this year, believe me. Three firsts, Ramczak and Lattimore. Well, Lattimore's a man corner, and we play zone corner coverage. All right, so that's going to do it for everything that I can say about center, really. So I'm going to real quick ask everybody. We have like 25 people in here. Thank you for coming out to the stream tonight. Please like the stream if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel if you want daily Seahawks content, and consider becoming a member by clicking the button down below, the join button. And yeah, all right. So is Reed going to get cut, or what's the deal with that? I don't know. I think he might get extended on a deal that pays him less money per year. The thing is, Reed was playing really well after we got Dunlap, so he's probably feeling like, hey, I'm worth the big bucks. Well, the way I can see us addressing the offensive line aggressively while not spending all of our money would be, you get Mack and then Scherf. If you get Scherf and Mack, I feel like you still have enough money left over to do a couple other things. Andrew, we'll get to that eventually. Actually, in a couple days. But anyway, I think that's the only way. Like, if you get David Andrews and Brandon Scherf, I guess you could do that, but then it's really hard to do anything else. And I still want to tight end. I still want to bring back a couple of veterans. I still have other things that I want to do this offseason. So I feel like maybe if you really like, at this point, you have to go to Wilson and be like, okay, if you want Andrews and Thuney or Andrews and Scherf, how much money are you willing to give back to us this offseason? You know, how much money are you willing to kick down the road? Andrew, I'll discuss receiver a little bit at some point. I already have the video recorded for that. Get Scherf and Thuney? No way. I think that's literally impossible. There's no way we're going to get Scherf and Thuney. I think that is like, I'm the first person to tell you that cap space is a meme and I don't give a crap about cap space. I think that would be literally impossible. And I don't know. That'd be nice, though. That'd be fun as hell. Rodrigo, it's a possibility. At a certain point, you do have to trust your ability to draft. So, yeah, okay, let's see here. Brendon, that's why I want to do draft a guard and sign Lindsay. I'm starting to like that more and more as I think about it, because I really fell in love with the idea of getting a big name guard. But the more I think about it, the more I think it makes sense to draft a guard and then sign a big name center like Lindsley. Yeah, Tommy Kramer. I saw him, Andrew. I like Tommy Kramer as a developmental guard. Would you rather have a great center and a decent left guard, or the other way around? It depends on your offense. I can't answer that question. I had us drafting Rondale Moore, Paulson Adibo, Trey McKinney, LeBron Day, and Anthony Hines. I know a couple of those names. Guard is more expensive than center. Often, yeah. I think there are going to be some very expensive guards this offseason, but there are going to be some centers who are only a little cheaper. Kendrick Green. Yeah, see, it does seem like it's easier to draft a good guard. So as I originally was going to say my plan would be to sign Mac and roll with Mac for 1 year and then draft Dahlman. But the more I think about this, as I discuss this with you guys, more I think maybe we should sign Lindsley and cheap out a little bit at guard instead, like maybe draft a Ben Cleveland type. So I may reevaluate my offseason stance just a little bit. I think that would actually be cheaper too, because Scherf or Thuney are both going to be more expensive than Lindsley, I think. Maybe, Andrew, maybe. Yeah, you week 2K. I agree, but it depends on how you feel about the 2022 draft as well. Like, if there's a center in 2022 who you love, then maybe it's a little easier to get Mac and just say, hey, give us 1 good year. But yeah, so as I talk about this with you guys, I think I'm coming around on the idea of not signing Scherf or Thuney, getting Lindsley instead, and then drafting a guard with our 2nd pick or 4th round pick and going from there. Or maybe you go get Austin Blythe and save money and get a pretty good player. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've said this before. There are multiple off-season paths we can take that I would be happy with. I'm going to present an ideal off-season scenario at the end of these videos, but there are a lot of different things we could do that I would be okay with. I mean, I kind of didn't mention David Andrews anywhere in there, but what if we got Brandon Scherf and David Andrews? That's pretty good. That's pretty freaking good. Brendon, if Shell played like he did last year, next year, how much do you think we would have to resign him for? Probably not that much more than what he's making right now. He does not have a very good reputation, and he'll be pretty old at that point. Hold on. All right. Scherf and Mac draft a pass catcher for us with our second round pick. That's not one of my favorite options, but that's not bad. Yeah, those are another couple guys, Andrew. Although Feliciano might not be cheap. He was on that Bills offensive line that was really good last year. Yeah, it would be a lot of money, but you should be able to create that much cap space with some financial wizardry. Okay, so I think we've kind of exhausted everything here. Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of comments about centers that we could draft. I'm seeing a lot of guards we could draft. I'm not seeing a lot of center stuff. Some people were saying Dickerson, but I already kind of said I'm iffy on that. Some people said Wyatt Davis, Creed Humphreys, Josh Myers, but I don't know if they fit. Yeah, that's not bad, week 2K. That's not bad either. Like I said, there are multiple things this team could do this offseason that would make me pretty happy. Yeah, the only center in this draft that I really want to pick is Drew Dahlman, and he's a developmental guard center from the 6th or 7th round. All right, so for my part, I'm going to say that after thinking about what you guys are saying, after really looking at all this stuff, my dream offseason scenario would be forget about Scherf. Go sign Lindsley and then make left guard a need in the draft. Or go get Scherf and sign David Andrews. I like both those pretty much equally. I still don't think the Alex Mack thing would be bad, but the more I think about it, the less I like it. Drake Jackson from Kentucky. Let me take a look here. Okay, he's listed a little above Drew Dahlman on this site that I use. According to the scouting that I use, it looks like they're listing him as a zone heavy rushing attack fit, which is not really ideal, but that stuff can be overcome. Rodrigo, he's a right guard, but he can play both, I think. I want a guard or center who I already know can play well in the league. Drafting a guy who could possibly bust is not ideal for our current situation. Yeah, but at a certain point, you do have to count on your drafting to find a good guy. I mean, I really feel like Scherf can move to left guard and be fine. Most guards can do that. If Scherf's an exception, then of course that's different. So you could go get Thuney instead. All right, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and say that my ideal offseason at center would be go get Corey Lindsley, although David Andrews is just as good to me, and then draft Drew Dahlman. I'm going to leave it at that. Draft Drew Dahlman in the 6th round. Go get Lindsley. Andrews would be just as good as and that's really all I can say. So we still got like 10 minutes left in this stream. I'm going to let it go. And any questions or comments, go ahead and post them. We're going to the wide zone rushing attack. Yeah, that's why I'm hesitant whenever I see these heavy blocking scheme centers. Ben Garland would be a reasonable kick the can down the road option, but if we're going to do Ben Garland, I'd rather do Alex Mack. It's the same thing, but Alex Mack is probably better. Like, if you're going to sign an over-the-hill veteran who hopefully has one decent year left, why not just do Mack? What's the difference? Yeah, Kyle, I think it's because of his age and his injury history. Chrissy, I don't know if they've calmed down, but I don't think anything's going to happen. I just don't. Not right now, anyway. And I don't think what we've heard so far is sufficient to make us believe that anything is going to happen. I know what we know so far is that people are unhappy, but people deal with unhappiness all the time. So we killed a mouse up there in other news, in completely unrelated news. There have been mice living in the ceiling up around here. So yesterday we put up some traps and we killed one. But we all know that there's always more than one, so hopefully we catch the others soon. But never done that before. Never had a rodent infestation while I've been here that I know of. So yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, I agree, Kyle, but he's not young anymore. Andrew, if you're gonna do Joe Looney, just bring back Posick. What's the damn difference? Like Joe Looney, I don't think he's better than Posick. No, Kyle, I don't. Yeah, Chrissy, I just don't think it makes any sense. What stage are you in the bedroom project? After this stream, I'm going to do a quick stream in that room just to show you guys what I'm doing. Lindsley is a better pass blocker, but Blythe is a better run blocker. It seems like Lindsley's better, just really good at everything. That's my estimation. Like, he's a great run blocker and a phenomenal pass blocker. Like, I don't think you're losing anything with Lindsley. With Lindsley as your run blocker. Yeah, David, that's a very likely possibility. I prefer the no-kill traps. Well, they're in a really inconvenient place, so that would be difficult to do. Andrew, they're right behind me. This is the only room where I can put anything right now. Yeah, Sam, they definitely do. Why do you think we won't sign KJ Wright? Because we don't have a lot of money and we already have enough resources at linebacker, and he's already said he's not taking a discount, and he's old. And like, if we re-sign KJ, then that's just another indication to me that this team doesn't prioritize winning. No, Michael, this is my storage room. I moved everything in here because I can't have anything in there. Yeah, Lindsley has an injury history. Alex Mack definitely has one now that he's so damn old. Lindsley is a better center, but Blythe already knows this system and blocking assignments. Yeah, I mean, if you get Blythe, here's my thing. How much better is Blythe than Posick? Are we sure? Is Blythe? I maybe he's a little better, but is he a big enough upgrade to get anybody excited? I don't know. Like, I think Blythe would be a great, interior backup who can play both guard positions and center. If we re-sign KJ Wright, it's going to be really hard for me to not check out a little bit. Like that'll just be the proof to me that this team doesn't understand it. Well, yeah, David, he's not known for getting injured, but it has to be considered a real possibility now that he's so damn old. What do you think about letting KJ and Shaq rock? Yeah, I think we're going to do both those things, Chrissy. I think that's actually kind of a slam dunk. Blythe and Thuney is a significant. That's not bad. That's not bad. You would just put Thuney at left guard, Blythe at center, and that's pretty solid. Yeah. Chrissy, it's going to be in 2 days. I posted a schedule with my video uploading plans on my community tab. Go check it out. Basically, I stream the same day as I post a video. So, all right. There are 8 minutes left in this stream. I want to thank everybody for coming out to watch the stream again. Before I go, please like, subscribe, become a member. You guys know. But we're going to go for another, like, maybe 5-ish minutes, and then I'm going to go. I got a couple things to do. You can't bring back KJ. It's not even like a matter of... It's such an obvious no-brainer. And you know that if you put Bill Belichick in this position, he would not even consider bringing back KJ. You know I'm telling the truth. If Bill Belichick took Pete Carroll's place, he would get rid of KJ instantly. He would have cut KJ last year, probably. Ethan, I probably will be doing something like that. It might not be exactly like that, but it'll be something like that. There are some free agents I want the Seahawks to bring back, but not Shaq, not KJ, none of that. And by the way, KJ 100% deserves to get paid. We just can't make it happen here. Okay, gonna go for a few more minutes. Tomorrow is the last day of the month. I'll try to do something. I'll try to stream something. I don't know exactly what we're going to talk about, but decent chance there's no content tomorrow. So we'll see. But yeah. So just to reiterate, center, what I would like to do is sign Corey Linsley, draft Drew Dahlman. But there are other things that I would like to do almost as much, so it would have been totally fine. No, Mike, why would we trade our pick for a center when there are a ton of good centers in free agency? We don't need to trade anything for those. Yeah, KJ totally deserves to get paid. KJ should get, $6-7 million a year, but it doesn't make any sense for this team to do it. We drafted Jordan Brooks. We're still paying all that money to Bobby Wagner. We spent a decent draft pick on Barton and BBK, by the way. Yeah, Kyle. Unless we can create a ton of cap space some other way, trading Lockett is something that makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, Rodrigo. I'm starting to come around on that. I initially said I wanted to sign a guard and draft a center or get a cheap center, but the more I think about it, the less I like that. Well, if we sign Mike Davis, it's whatever. He'd be cheap. He's probably going to cost a couple $1 million. Like, it's fine. If the Dolphins want to give up pick 36 for Lockett, do that immediately. That's a hell of a haul for Tyler Lockett, who, by the way, in my estimation, is already starting to lose something. Like, he was gutting it out at the end of the year, and props to him for doing it, but I don't want to see him gut it out for a bunch more years until the point where he can't not gut out no more. How about Scherf and Blythe? Well, Thuney and Blythe would be probably better, I guess, but that's reasonable. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Peace out. Go Hawks. That is what I see at the center position. A lot of things we can do that I would be okay with. A lot of things we could do that I would like a lot. My personal favorite as of right now is Linsley and Drew Dahlman. But as long as we take this seriously, at some point, I'll deal with it. Might stream tomorrow, might not. Tomorrow was going to be one of my days off. Yeah. So peace out. Go Hawks. See you guys later. Oh yeah. So now we are done addressing all the big needs on offense. We did running back. We did left guard. We did center. We did tight end. So we're going to start with the defense on the first of the month. On March 1st, we're going to start with the D. So everybody get ready for that. And yeah, defense. And I personally believe that the team should not spend a lot of resources on defense right now because the offense is clearly the area that needs the most help for multiple reasons, but we're going to talk about it. So peace out. Go Hawks.